Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Hey, happy Tuesday. I have a lot to say, but I have a short time in which to do this because somehow I have decided that recording before work is my best option. Actually, we'll get into this. I just read a Facebook post that a doctor was saying, actually, I'm just going to read it because I'm just as likely to forget your name as I am to misquote. So she wrote, it was an anonymous post in one of our doctor groups, and she wrote, I've been practicing over 20 years. Ooh, child, that's a long time. I don't think I'm burnt out, but what used to be my mission, in quotes, is now just a job, air quotes around just a job. I actually think that's best for my mental health, but I'm sad about it too. Not really apathy because I do care, but there's no passion. That's okay, question mark. I don't know what I'm asking. Maybe validation, question mark. Or to see if this seems weird. I do enjoy my job, but I don't love it anymore. So I love that she wrote this because she's not burnt out, it doesn't sound. She's not like skeptical or resentful or bitter in any way. She's just more aware now about how medicine is just one facet of her life. So I wrote in response to her, the doctor identity has changed so much. It really has just become a job. When we started, many of us really bought into the doctor identity. And that's really not what it looks like now. Almost doesn't even, they're not even like close cousins. They are like, I don't know, cousins twice removed. I don't know. It doesn't look anything like what I thought it was look like for sure. And so for me, my new identity is passenger princess soft lifer. So let me just work my 2 days a week, collect my check, vacation regularly, and I'm good with that. I like this conversation because we're finally starting to divorce our identities, our whole selves from this job that has been chewing us up and spitting us out for so long. I had a stressful past couple weeks, like stressful, break down in tears and cry in my bed. There was a day I literally ate mac and cheese in my bed under the covers. I don't even eat in my bed. That's what I'm so particular about food cleanliness that I do not like crumbs or anything near my domain. And even if the rest of my house might be messy, my bedroom is like sanctuary, okay? Like it's always neat. I have the most luxurious sheets and I have blackout curtains. Like it is a great place. So for me to be in bed with mac and cheese, it's not a crummy thing, but still with food, I was just not myself. The problem here is that in true doctor fashion, I had not really asked for help with what I was dealing with and what I was going through. I had decided that I could just do everything on my own and I didn't really need support from people. And the thing is, when it got down to it, I actually did. I needed my family, I needed my friends. And when I asked for it in the last 2 weeks, they have really come through, right? Just people checking up on me and giving me words and just pouring into me in a way that I didn't realize I needed them for, because I like to think of myself as super self-reliant. I know this is a trauma response, this like hyper independence, self-reliance, but I have been in medicine a long time and I feel like this has reinforced this identity of if you want it done, you had to do it yourself. You can't count on anybody. You can't trust people. How many times have you heard of or had that happen to you where you have something going on and you share it with someone and they use it against you, right? Medicine sometimes, especially in spaces where you are the minority, is not a comforting, safe place. I even remember this like really had me thinking. My first week of residency, I was an intern in pediatrics, and my senior asked me to put in an order for medicine. And it was something like really bread and butter pediatrics, like a Tylenol dosing or something. And I asked my senior, what was I supposed to do? Because it was literally my first week on the job. We're learning the EHR. I'm like learning that everything in pediatrics is weight-based dosing. A lot of people think that all these things that you have no idea when you start residency. So I put in the order, and then the nurse realized that it was incorrect. And this was a nurse that did not believe in gentle corrections. So she lambasted me, and well, she lambasted my senior who signed off on my order. And then my senior came to me and yelled at me. And then the nurse also came and yelled at me. And it was just not one of my I had a lot of bad memories from intern year residency, actually. And overall, my residency program wasn't that bad. Is that a terrible thing to say? It was pretty bad. I mean, in terms of like humiliations and things and being yelled at. But I've heard worse stories. So in my mind and in my memory, I have a lot of fond memories as well to balance out the crazy. Also, probably a trauma response. Things to unpack later. Anyway, I realized it was my first week. So, of course, I was trying to get things right. But my second year, it was also her first week as a senior. She had never had to supervise anyone before. And I remember both of us walking away from that situation feeling like you can't trust anybody. I trusted her to give me the right things. She trusted me to maybe, I guess, check it or correct it. I don't know what she wanted from me, but it was just one of those moments that cemented for me, like, I can't trust anyone. Thankfully, nothing happened. Like, the medicine was not administered. The patient never got near the patient. It's like a near miss. But I was definitely embarrassed. I was definitely concerned because, like, how could this happen? But I was also mad because I had been given instruction and I followed it, and I was penalized for it because I didn't check it myself. And I feel like that's just one of my distinct memories where I remember, listen, if you want it done, you just got to do it yourself. And I have carried that persona around for a long time. It's really reinforced in medicine, especially like with liability, because you are ultimately the responsible party as a doctor. I just did an Instagram story this past week, or post this past week, where I was talking about this captain of the ship notion. It's actually written into our like legal documentation a lot, where if you are the doctor, you are the captain of the ship. So everybody reports to you, all the responsibility falls on you in terms of liability, outcomes, all of that. And that is something they train us on in medical school, except that it doesn't quite come with the leadership responsibilities when you become an attending. It just feels like all liability. Like everyone's all of a sudden hands up when something happens. But prior to that, everyone wants to assert their opinion, their thoughts, their anecdotal remedies. Like everyone has a voice about what's going on until something goes wrong. And then it's only you, and you are the only one standing there. So, and then I think about just if I was a captain, I would get to pick my shipmates, right? I would get to pick who's on my boat. I don't get that option. I don't hire or fire any of the staff in most places that I work, unless I'm running my own things. And there's so very few private practices at this point. Most physicians are employees. Most nurses are reporting to some nurse manager, office manager, not to me. So I don't really have supervisory power unless it's signing off on someone's charts for liability. You see how that works? So naturally, because of this disconnect between like me as a leader in terms of authority versus liability, the idea that I will be blamed for things, or the idea that I cannot rely on anyone, has stuck with me. So even in my personal life, when I face things, when I'm building my business, when I'm doing anything pretty much, I have to really be intentional about asking for help and relying on other people. Yeah. It's a learning curve. So that being said, I had this particular week where I took on an extra high stake responsibility, which I will tell you guys about later, not in this episode. And I added it to my already heavy workload. And so if you're around here often, if you listen to this podcast often, first of all, thanks. But you know that I work 2 to 3 days a week clinically at this point, but I have other responsibilities, right? I run an entire coaching program where I'm teaching other doctors how to get what they want at work, how to do these 2-day work weeks, or even ask how to improve their work-life balance. Everyone's looking for work-life balance, but because we're juxtapositioning work versus life, which really shouldn't happen. But how do you maintain a job that was fashioned to really drain you and make it sustainable and make it worthy of your time and your effort and your expertise? So I do that. And then I also coach. I'm a business coach, an associate business coach in the Doctor Coach School, the program that trained me to be a coach and to have my coaching program. I'm an associate coach there, and I am helping doctors build their coaching businesses. So I'm working in 2 different coaching communities plus my clinical job. So that's essentially 3 jobs, right? And at this point, like I said, medicine's my side hustle because I'm really just there 2 days a week. I get in, I get my paycheck, like this doctor is saying, and I leave. I don't want the additional take home of clinical response. Like I just don't want the headache, the thing that caused burnout for me previously. I don't want to go back anywhere near it. So that's a lot of stuff. And for my own business, like I do this podcast every week. I send weekly emails. I post on Instagram up to 4 times a week. It's just a lot of stuff. There's just like a lot of me creating and developing and improving and working on stuff. And as a doctor, I'm prone to be a workaholic. I'm doing this several days a week, but also I'm a big fan of leisure. Y'all know I am working real hard to become a passenger princess soft lifer, okay? Like real hard. So I have trips, plans to make. I'm working with my financial advisor to stabilize my income and to make sure I'm not overspending because I have been a big overspender when it comes to travel. I do not hold back on vacation. I am like a descendant of Pablo Escobar when I'm on vacation. Okay, I like really nice things and I work really hard, so I feel like I should treat myself. But I'm going to treat myself into brokenness if I'm not careful. So I don't want that. Don't want to speak that over my life. So there's just so many things that I'm working on and trying to figure out and maintain, right? So obviously I have a high capacity to handle workload. So I was having this conversation with my therapist because my week was stressful. It's not even what I wanted to bring into the therapy session, but it just so happened that all this stuff happened and I'm like, oh, this is what happened. I don't really want to unpack it. I ended up unpacking it. Okay. We were talking about capacity, almost like pain threshold. The concept is like, if you have a high pain threshold, you will be in pain and then say, but it's not that bad. Like, it's okay. I can handle it, like, whatever. And so I'm always operating at my top capacity. I can handle all these things. A lot of times when I answer questions, it's from a capability point of view. So someone is, oh, can you just, I'm like, in my mind, the only filter that I sometimes run things through is, can I do that? Am I capable? Is that something I could do? And especially if it's something that comes easy to me, I'm like, yeah, totally. I could do that. I could just knock that out. And I underestimate the time it will take to do that thing. And I do not reflect until later how many other things I already am juggling and have on my plate. And then I'm like, dang, why the heck did I agree to that? So I talk about this in other episodes when I talk about it as a negotiation tactic, which is why I think negotiation is part of every aspect of your life, is this concept of distancing yourself between the question and the answer. So the minute a question comes out, you should not jump to answer it. I like to say, let me think about it. When do you need an answer by? Right? That's like my automatic response, because then I can actually run it through some other filters of, is this pushing me towards my goals? Is this helpful for me to do at this time? Do I even have the bandwidth for this? And there's a lot of times where the answer to those questions is no. And so even though I am capable of doing a thing, I have to say no to doing that thing. That is lesson. Okay, that's a word. You might need to rewind that. You need to come up with some questions in your mind that help you filter all the things that you're doing and stop agreeing to automatically doing all the things. Okay. So she was saying, I need to learn how to not operate at my therapist. I'm saying she. My therapist was saying I need to stop operating at the top of my capacity because just because I can handle stuff doesn't mean I should. And like I'm stressing myself out all the time. All of these things are things that I have agreed to do. I have put on myself. Nobody sent me there. It's like medical school. You're like, how did I get here? Because nobody sent us there except ourselves. And we decided we had to prove ourselves and go through all the hurdles to become this doctor. And you're like, I could be a CVS cashier. I could be a trophy wife. Like, I could be doing so many other things with my time. And yet I chose this torture. Choices. So, yeah, the therapist asked me to do a visualization exercise to envision what it is that I actually want to be doing. Instead of doing all of the things and being busy all the time and taking on all these projects and workloads and tasks, what is it I actually want to do? And it made me think back to episode 25. If you have not heard that episode, it's a really good one, way back in season 2, maybe. And in that episode, I cover a lot of things like the culture of medicine, things that are toxic in medicine. But at the end, I asked the audience to participate in a visualization exercise. And so I'm going to run that same exercise with you guys. And I ran it with my therapist. And of course, when you do these exercises, you realize what you desire and what really is important to you. And then you can start to look at what in your life is even close to that. And if nothing is close to that, you got to start moving. You want to get as close to that thing as possible. And I am actually going to just pull up that visualization exercise because it was such a good one. And I'm going to walk you guys through it. And then I'm going to go to work because I'm about to be late as usual. No, not as usual. I take that back. I'm usually on time to work. I'm being dramatic. Okay. So the exercise came from a podcast that I was listening to. And so it's talking about your dream life. And my brain always wants to start off like with what exists. So we're going to clear out all of that, right? You get to decide if you are building your perfect life with any possibility, okay? I know that concept often feels like super amorphous, right? Like anything, what would you pick? So I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to talk about some of the pitfalls that we all slip into. So for starters, it does not have to include what you already have in your life. You don't have to be a doctor in your dream life. I know. Yes, shocking. You worked this hard. However, just take a step back and think about who you are, like who you are. This is a hard question, I think, for some people to answer. If you ask them who they are, they will start talking about their various identities. I'm a doctor, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, if you can pull down who you are at its core. I'm a funny person who loves to help people. I feel good about being in service to others. I enjoy my quiet time, but I also enjoy hanging out. If you can get into who you are in your essence in all of these different environments, not who you're related to, I think that helps. I want you to stretch your mind a little bit. And sometimes it just makes you uncomfortable, and that's fine. You want to focus by distilling down what's really important to you, not someone else's version of importance, right? Not what's on the gram, on TikTok, all of these things that you should have. If you don't really want those things, please do not include them in your visualization exercise. Okay. This is just you in your mind, just being quiet and just listening. And so I want you to just avoid comparisitis, right? Avoid thinking about what everybody else has and think about what it is that you want. Okay. So you don't have to be practical or realistic. Actually, most of the things that we think are unrealistic are actually truly realistic, but never mind. So you're going to walk into what we call the life store. And it's almost like the price is right. Like you have a shopping cart and you're going to close your eyes. You're going to put your hands on the shopping cart and you're going to picture this huge life store, this supermarket that has aisles. And the aisles are divided by like personal life, maybe work life. If maybe there might not be a work life in your store, let me know. But hobbies, like you can break it down into any category you want to, but you're going to walk down this aisle and you're going to pick things off the shelf and put them into the cart. Okay. I think one question I asked in that previous episode that's helpful here is if you only had 1 year of your life left, what would you pick up off them shelves? Because that really changes your perspective of what you're willing to put in your cart. So just, you don't even have to take 10 minutes. It's going to be 5 minutes. And I want you to do this in great detail. What does your life look like when you're walking down like the home aisle of your life? Where are you living? What does it look like? Is it airy? Does the breeze blow through the wall to wall sliding doors? Do you have indoor outdoor living? I'm just describing my perfect home life. Lush greenery, warm temperatures all year round. What does that actually look like? What are the colors? What is the smell? Somebody's probably cooking something delicious. Not me, of course, because my dream life includes a chef. What does that look like? Spend some time there. Who are you interacting with? My house comes with staff and my bae. So who's in this house? What's the vibe? What are you hearing? What are the sounds? Is it nature sounds? Is it music? Do you play TV all the time? And that's just what you want in the background. I don't know. Some people live off CNN. I personally don't find that relaxing, but I'm not here to judge. It's your dream life. So I want you to go down like home, like health, love, work, if there's a work aisle in your store, and just pick out things. You can pick as many things as you want. When you get to the cash register, you will refine. You will take only the things that you want and put them on the little conveyor belt and let that ring up, right? So think about all those different categories, all the things that you want. Sit in silence, close your eyes. What are those things what is the imagery that pops up? Spend a few minutes just doing this and then write it down. Okay. Make a voice memo if you're in a rush, if you're in the car. Hopefully you didn't do that driving because you need to do it with your eyes closed. But write it down, make a voice memo. If you don't freak out a little bit, like if you're not even a little bit scared-sighted about this, you got to do it again. Just run it back, do it again. It's not good if you don't freak out a little bit, okay? Do that. And if you don't have time to do it right now after this episode, then put it in your calendar because y'all gonna move on with your day and forget to do it. Then you're gonna go and consider the items that you checked out. How would it feel if you had this stuff, right? Like, how does it feel in your body? For me, I'm already excited. Like, I have butterflies thinking about this potential. I get tingles. And then you start to think, okay, in my current life, in each of these categories, how do I move closer to this thing that I pictured? Or maybe even beyond the thing that I pictured. What are some of the things I can start doing? What are things I can do today? What are things I need to put down in order to achieve that? And I want you to keep that vision in your mind going forward so that when you have a question asked of you and someone's trying to add something to your plate and you ask them, when do I need to let you know by? You're going to go off. You're going to reflect back on this perfect life. And you're going to say, is that bringing me closer to this vision? Do I really want to do this? Right? Not out of obligation that someone's going to judge me or think that I can't or any of that. Do I actually want to do this? Does this bring me closer to my goals? And if the answer is no, we are putting all those things down. We are not committing to extra stuff. And we're thinking about who we want in our life. And we're going to talk about or think about ways to ask them for help, to lean on them, to confide in those people. Because only the people that you can trust this way should be in your perfect life, right? Like you want to be surrounded by people that love you and uphold you and support you in the ways that you need. Okay. That's it. That's the exercise. I, of course, have been helping physicians almost achieve this, not almost achieve these dream life things. And so I even had to run back my own dream life. I wanted to be traveling all the time. I wanted to have a job with maximum flexibility. I wanted to be part-time. I've hit that version of my dream life that I envisioned maybe 2 to 3 years ago. And if you listen to last week, you'll realize that I'm moving to another version of that. And so that's what I'm working on. And it makes me feel good. And it makes me super aware that I am moving in a direction that feels purposeful to me and is the root of my decisions. Sometimes I forget because, again, trauma. So in the last couple weeks, I really forgot. So now I'm back on track. You're going to fall off the track umpteen times. It's fine. I'm getting back on track. It's going to be good. I want to hear what you guys' design life is. Feel free to share it with me. I love hearing from you. Of course, if you have questions for the podcast, I'm looking for questions. Please submit them. I'm happy to answer them on episodes. Okay, have a good week. Enjoy your visualization. If you didn't put in your calendar, do that now. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is rank us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.